where politics and pop culture rule our democratic society through vast forms of media, our era is highly exposed to current events at the click of a button. With so much knowledge in our pocket, more of a mass society is able to become informed and express their opinion on the society we live in. With this connection to political, social, and cultural information, you would think more millennials would be jumping at the chance to vote, but statistics say differently. A little more than half of eligible voters are registered in the United States. In 2014, millennials only made up about 23% of votes, while senior citizens dominated more than half the votes. So the question is, why don't millennials vote? Maybe it's pure indifference, maybe we just have a negative view towards politics, or maybe it's sheer laziness, like some have argued before. American government professor Rebecca Reed tells us more about millennials and voting.
So we see a lot more civic engagement among millennials, not particularly in terms of voting. I think an issue of more of the bad rap the media portrays of millennials. The millennials are actually voting at the same rates as previous generations, like the baby boomers. So even though only about half of millennials are actually voting, that's pretty standard in terms of what we've seen historically. However, one of the things that's interesting with millennials is that they're actually using political engagement in ways outside of voting.
That's a good point. Millennials do have a knack at civic engagement through social media. I mean, have you seen all the political memes invading this election season? They're hilarious. But anyways, I spoke to some actual millennials at the local university to see what they think about voting.
I do plan to vote. It is important, but it really depends on how you feel about the issues.
A lot of times we have very grown adults dictating what we have to go through, and I think it's fair that now that I'm able to vote, I'm able to say what I want.
I did vote in the primary election, and I do plan to vote in the general election. I do typically think that the government is not as great as we are taught. I only vote just to keep the wrong person from getting the presidential position.
I do plan on voting in the general election. I do think that it's really important because we all have an opinion and we all have a voice to speak.
Voting is super important because it determines who will be more likely to be chosen as a presidential candidate. I did vote in the primaries, yes. Go Bernie for the burn. And I feel that everyone should go out and vote as early as they can.
I do think voting is important because there's still a lot of stigma in regards to voting. I think that our society is still at the point where they think that their vote doesn't change anything.
Maybe I will vote, but I don't really think it makes a difference. I think they just do it in a way to cover up and pretend that we actually matter.
The millennials have really expanded political activity so that some of them are voting, many of them are voting. The current 2016 elections, a lot of people are predicting that the millennial vote could be determinative, it could be decisive in about 10 states. So that's a huge influence that can be tapped into. One of the downsides is that even though millennials are much more politically informed, the inundation of information and misleading information. So it's instead of having to expend energy to get information, now you have to parse through all of that and figure out what's what.
The answer to this question is one you'll have to figure out on your own. If you think you have the right to have your voice be heard, get out and vote. Stay informed and focus on the issues you want to see solved.